Hi, my name is James. I'm with EasyBankruptcyForms.com. I'm going to do a little demonstration of Easy Bankruptcy Forms bankruptcy software because I want to let you know what you're purchasing before you actually buy it. Let's get to it. The program is open and we're on our introduction, which is kind of our instruction page. And the first thing that I want you to notice is if you're going to open up this PDF, you should do it in Adobe Reader. Adobe has a free program that you can download called Adobe Reader. If you view this file in a program other than Adobe Reader, it may or may not calculate properly. So be sure you open up this PDF, in fact, any PDF that you ever open in Adobe Reader, or it might not calculate properly. Okay, for this simulation, we're going to create a fictional debtor. That person's name is Joe Q. Anybody. Joe Anybody has a salaried job and he makes $5,000 a month. He's not married. He lives in California and he has a 3-person household. That's going to be important in the first 2 pages. So I'm going to repeat it. Joe Q. Anybody, salaried job, $5,000 a month. He's not married, lives in California, and there's 3 people in his household. I'm going to enter the name right here. And being in California, Joe has done his due diligence and found out that the bankruptcy district that he belongs to is the Northern District of California. From this drop-down menu, he's going to select that right here. Now, this green box here, some people call them comment boxes. I call them sticky notes. They're notes from me to you. If you see a sticky note and it's green, it's something you probably already know, but if you don't, I've given you some guidance. If you see one that's yellow, it's something that, well, you probably know, but maybe not, so it's a little bit more important. If you see one that's red, you're probably not going to be able to answer that line item or question or whatever you want to call it without help from that red sticky box, okay? So by matter of importance, green is not very important, maybe a little. Yellow is somewhat important, and red, you really need to pay attention. Got it? Good. Okay, so let's go to this one over here, this green sticky note, and it has to do with the case number, and it just says, Joe has not filed for bankruptcy yet. They're asking for the case number, the bankruptcy case number. There isn't one yet, so it's okay to leave it blank. Got it? Okay, this one over here has to do with this really important box here. And by default, number 1 is checked. And it says there's no presumption of abuse. By that they mean bankruptcy abuse. And if there's no presumption of abuse, you do qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The second option is there might be some bankruptcy abuse and you're going to have to fill out another form. We're going to have to find out. And the third one is you were in the military before and maybe the means test doesn't apply to you. Okay? But for now, this very important box by default is checked in line item number 1 or choice number 1. Now, that choice is going to change based on the artificial intelligence of this program, and then it's going to change back. Spoiler alert, Joe Anybody is going to qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. There's not going to be a presumption of abuse, but I'm going to show you how the artificial intelligence of this program works in the next couple minutes. Okay, so filling out the information, this is the Chapter 7 statement of your current monthly income. It's also known as the means test, as explained before, and line item 1 just asks, what is Joe filing under? Well, he's not married, so we're going to just check that. Line items 2 through 10 have to do with income. Where is he making money and how much is he making money? And to be more specific, monthly income. Well, as mentioned before, Joe has a salaried job and he makes $5,000 per month. Now, of all these things, 2 through 7 on the first page, and the next page has 8, 9, and 10. For salary jobs, if you look at the sticky note here, well, you put that on line item 2. And this note here says don't use commas, don't use dollar signs, or it messes up when you enter it in, it won't let you do it. So you just put in the actual number, 5,000, and the program will take care of that and enter it that way. There is no spouse, so we're not going to enter anything here. When you don't enter anything on a blue cell, the program reads that as a 0. So it's just the same as entering 0. All right, going to the next page. What I want you to notice here is there's blue cells here. That's where you do have the ability to enter information if you want to, or not enter any information. But then there's clear cells, and that's the stuff that gets auto-calculated from before. So, for example, if I tried to change Joe anybody's name here, it would error out. I think you can hear it on my computer and through this PDF that I can't change the name unless I go to the previous page. Got it? Good. Okay, so as I said, lines 2 through 10 are where you put all the sources of income, and line 11, this is clear. It's auto-calculated all the stuff from lines 2 through 10. You got 5,000 in line 2, and you got 0 in all the other lines. So 5,000 plus 0, 8 times is 5,000 plus 0 equals 5,000 for a total monthly income for Joe Q anybody's family of $5,000 per month. Line 12, you also don't enter anything. It's auto-calculated for you. They take the monthly income and multiply it by 12, and Joe Q anybody's yearly income is $60,000. Now, line 13 starts out very simple and gets very tricky on the third part. So this one, fill in the state for which you live. Joe lives in California. As previously mentioned, there's 3 people in his household. All right. The third question, fill in the median family income for your state and size of household, which, okay, to find a list of applicable median income amounts, go online using the link specified in the separate instructions for this form. This list may also be available at the bankruptcy clerk's office, which seems a little bit confusing or inconvenient or both. However, in our program, there's the sticky note with some information right there with the red sticky note, and gives information on how to get the number for this. Before we go to this link, which they were referring to, which I'll copy for right now. Before we do that, what I want you to realize is in question 14, and also in that first box right here, you'll notice that the check changed from no presumption of bankruptcy abuse to, well, maybe some presumption of bankruptcy abuse, because they're comparing this number, $60,000, to this number, which is currently 0 because we haven't entered anything in there. We will in a minute. And we're saying 60,000 is more than this, so maybe you don't qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But we're going to enter that. And also right here, line 14B, you compare line 12B, this to this, which is 0. And since this is more than this, you go and check box 2, like you saw. And there might be some abuse, and you have to fill out another 8-page form. And then you're going to sign this and fill out that 8-page form. Now, we're going to get to this one right now. It's going to change everything. So remember, we opened up the sticky note, and we copied that URL. And I'm going to close this out. Spoiler alert, I did this before. Okay, from the web browser main page, you just put that URL in. It'll take you to a web page from the Department of Justice that deals with means testing to find out the average yearly income for households in your state with your family size. What you do is you choose the first option, which is the most recent option. These numbers always change. You always choose the most recent option, and you press go. It's going to open up another page in the Department of Justice website. And from there, right here, you choose that link and it'll open up a third page, which is going to have a chart that's very important to you. And of that chart, since we know Joe is from California and there's 3 people in his household, we are going to remember this number, $97,092. And that's the number that we're going to put in line 13. 97092. Okay? I haven't pressed tab yet, so line 14B is still checked. But as soon as I press tab, it's going to change to line 14A, which is going to tell you there's no presumption of bankruptcy abuse, and don't fill out this next form that's 8 pages long. Okay, so this is less than this. You don't have to fill out another form. You're good. And if you go back, remember how this was checked in option 1, then it went to option 2. Well, now you're back to option 1. There's no presumption of bankruptcy abuse. You have passed the means test. All right? So the directions actually here say, you're done there. Go to part 3, which just pretty much tells you to sign the forms. So what I would advise is when you're done with all of the bankruptcy forms, just come back, print them all out, come back to this one, sign this one by hand, and you're done. Okay. I did include the form 122A2 just in case you have to fill it out. But since Joe is under the threshold, if he tries to go over here and put numbers in, the program won't let him. And if he insists, he can read this red note that says, hey, don't fill out this form. You're not supposed to. You're just wasting your time. So skip this and the next 8 pages. All right? So with the software, what we've done is we've either filled out 1 very difficult form or 2, being on what your definition is, because we filled out 1 and skipped the second one because we're supposed to. And we're on to an easy form, which is included in our software just because we want to include, all the forms, whether they're easy or hard to fill out, just so you'll have them on your file so that you can turn it in. And on this one, this statement of your Social Security number, the only thing that it asks is what's your Social Security number. It's the only place where you put a Social Security number in any part of any of the forms. One thing that I want you to notice is that Northern District of California carried over from page 1. And when you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see Joe Q, anybody's name has carried over. I'm going to put a Social Security number in here just for fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now, in theory, you're done with this form. So you're done with 3 or 2, depending on your definition, forms. It's flowing, what I would think is pretty smoothly for you. Now, we've included all the forms that you need for what I call a simple bankruptcy, like this. And we've made it go in a flowing pace. And as you can see with the name there, it's populating all the way through the forms where it's supposed to. And one example that I want to show you, and I cheated right here, is I got to the part where you put in the creditors. And before I started the video, I put in a couple creditors just to show you how the program totals, right, and acts the way it's supposed to. So in this case, Joe has 2 creditors. I know you're going to have 40 creditors, but I'm just showing you 2 so I can simplify it for you. Joe has a medical bill to Doc Brown that he incurred in 2015 with a account number ending in 1985, and there's the address 1955 Future Way in Hollywood, for $32,000 in change. He has a second creditor and has paid a loan sharking from 1234 Nowhere Place in Corporation, Texas, and he incurred the debt in 2021, and it's $7,889. Now, purposely, for this demonstration, I made this number plus this number equal exactly $40,000 to prove a point. the when you have 40 creditors, these numbers are going to add up to some number that you're not going to be able to probably keep track of. But if you go here where you put this category, you'll see that this category, 6I on this certain page, it equals 40,000. And since we didn't put anything in the other categories because we skipped past those pages, the total of all the categories of all the debts that you have is $40,000. So it does total properly, or at least I hope I've demonstrated that. One thing that I want to tell you is if you choose to do the free government forms, there's going to be something that you're going to have to include that's not a form, and you're never going to be able to find it because it doesn't exist. It's called a creditor matrix. And what the creditor matrix is when you file for bankruptcy, the let's say the court clerk, the court sends out something in writing to all your creditors that says, he's filed for bankruptcy, stop trying to collect a debt from him. And they get it through the actual regular mail. And to do that, the court clerk needs mailing labels or something to make mailing labels out of. And you need to give them that page that makes mailing labels, and that's what the creditor matrix is. Now, remember that stuff where you had the Doc Brown and the payday loan sharking and things like that? You're probably going to have 40 creditors, and you're entering all the information there. And without our software or some sort of software, you're going to have to take all those creditors' names and addresses and make a creditor matrix out of that in like some program like Notepad or something, and that can be a hassle. Not when you're doing with 2 creditors, but when you're doing it with 40, it's a hassle. What we did is we have our own creditor matrix. So whatever you entered on your creditors page gets transferred over to here. So you don't have to do it twice. You only have to do it once. And there's a bunch of other things within our software that makes it flow better and makes it a lot easier. So whether you want to buy our software or not, I appreciate you watching our video. What I think is the software is not a end all to be all, but it is something that's going to give you accurate results and save you time. And I think it's worth the price, and I appreciate you watching the video. So thanks again. Like it or not, I appreciate you watching, and good luck with your bankruptcy.